All guests have been muted.
Okay, today I'm actually going to be projecting the first hour of the class to people online, and it will be recorded, so people who want to watch it later can do that. So I will have this little dingle here, which is my microphone, iPhone, and we're going to talk about editing pictures and how to use the different processes we can use at Lightroom and Photoshop. So we'll start right now. And what we'll do is we'll do questions after the lecture, just because then we can do questions. If you have questions during the lecture, I can catch those, but just sort of like general process questions I want to at this point. Okay. I'm recording this. Oh, I just recorded that. And I have closed captioning happening. Hello, captioners. Thank you for being here. Yes, see the words appearing as I speak. All right, so today's module is 08, Printing and Sharing a Photographic Image. And so I'm going to share my desktop. And this is actually a view of Lightroom that some of you will see. This Lightroom is one of my favorite softwares for doing this, so as we talk, we'll talk about it. And someone may recognize the images that are on my Lightroom. Like, anyone tell me where I am? Okay, good, yes. I have those images that you can do some adjustments to, or can do other things too. The module for today, as I said, is printing and sharing a photographic image. Our photographer of the week is Hiroshi Tsukamoto, who is a really amazing photographer. You're reading this here, different discussions. The project for this week is a little bit different. You're going to start preparing for your full fit, which is really important because it's 100 points on your final grade, all the best pictures. And for this week, you're actually going to make a set and sticker with 15 to 20 best images. And then you're going to post it in the discussion area, and you're going to give feedback to each other on that link. And then I'll give you feedback on that link. And I'll try to give feedback as quickly as possible. Those, I know you have to choose the best ones and print them. So it's really fun to see what everyone is. The images in this have to be taken this quarter. They do not have to, they can have been turned in front of side, but they don't have to see. They should be in your Flickr photo stream so I can see them. So you have a lot of possibilities. If you have more questions about that, we'll do that later. Okay. We're going to look at printing and sharing the photographic image. So your book talks about improving and printing the image. And how many people have ever printed a picture that's here? We're here? Who've printed pictures before? Try to. Okay. Anyone ever disappointed? Yes. Okay. Sorry, can you tell me one reason why you're disappointed?
Well, the colors sometimes don't come out quite right.
The colors don't come out right. Okay. That's it. Okay, if you put your picture paper upside down in the printer, you will get a wonderful watercolor thing that will get over everything and will could destroy your printer. I had one printer we had to take in for servicing because of that. Anyone else has something else with printing? Yeah.
So when the pictures are really small, they look really good.
Okay.
They're blown up. It doesn't, you're like, oh.
Yeah, so pictures small may look good, but when you actually get them enlarged, maybe not so good. So a couple things that will happen in the translation. The depth of field is much, much more critical in a picture between as it gets bigger. If you wanted to make a really, really large picture, you would need a lot more depth of field than if you were going to make a small picture. Also, things that you may not have noticed will start showing up as you get larger. You can do some things on the screen to test for that, but for me personally, if I'm going to print something, I do a work print. I do a print to check it, and then I do my final print. So printing is really big. I think this is really important because every hard drive in the world will eventually die. In fact, the one definite way that we have to have our pictures last is to actually print them. And this is sort of steps in with Hiroshi Sugimoto and his Sea of Buddhas from the Hall of 33 Days, the silver gelatin print of 1995. And Sugimoto actually is very involved in the printing of all of his prints. If you ever have a chance to see his shows, I think there's one down in Los Angeles area now for those of you calling in from there. But there's a whole, you actually walk into this. This is just like one little piece, this Buddhist, of what is a whole hall, and you're actually surrounded by this image. And we'll talk more about it when we talk about it, or if you review the module on Hiroshi Sugimoto, you'll see more about him. So just really, really amazing to see his presentation. And presentation is really a lot what we're talking about. Okay, this is where I want to start. Many of you are shooting JPEG. And so, the image, we'll look at that. I put this up here because this is camera raw, which is the same as what's inside of Lightroom. If you have a way, if your camera is capable, I will totally implore you to use camera raw. It may be a little more time, it may seem like one more step, but the quality difference will be exponential. One of the things with camera raw is that all the data that was in front of the camera is available. And because of that, you are able to make greater changes in the file and still have it work. And so it's really, really quite critical if you have that capability, and I really encourage that. If you're going to go on, I just want to mention it here because this is where I put it in the lecture. This is the website for the photo department. If you wanted to go on and learn more about the things we're going to talk about today, the two classes that you could consider would be 4A, which is the Photoshop class, and 72, which is Lightroom and Photographic Design. And those two classes will really help you improve, and you can see samples of some of the work of students here. And then if you want to know more about what they might do in those classes, this is 4A, digital photography, and you can really see some of their work. But for now, we just want to talk about what can you do right now, where you're at. We're going to look at both free and costly solutions. And this actually is a free solution that will make a big difference, and that's monitor calibration. If your monitor is wrong, your pictures will be wrong. So whether it's your laptop or if you have a standalone screen in a desktop, the monitor has to be calibrated. And you just think about it. You can take a button and you can make the picture lighter or darker, right, on that button. Well, you're not making the picture lighter or darker. You're making the monitor lighter or darker. And so the actual pixels, the actual information about the file has not been changed. And so other things that can affect it. If you wear a really brightly colored clothes, you can actually throw the color off on the screen of what your judgment might be. At one point, my husband had this thought that he would make my digital room really nice, and he said, let's look at paint colors. And he pulled out peaches, and, all these different greens and things. The digital room needs to be gray. It must be gray because I need it to be neutral. I don't want any color from the room to affect my computer screen. The lighting in the room can make a difference. If you work in a room that has daylight and the windows are always changing, so everything will get different. Inside of your computer, this is a monitor calibration for the Macintosh. And if you come down here, this is a handout that I have for you. It goes step by step on how to calibrate in Windows using the Adobe Gamma utility, or in Mac OS using the Calibrate utility. But for best results, and this is from the Adobe Help Center that comes with the software, they recommend third-party software and measuring devices. We'll look at those in a minute. So you would go in the Apple to the Apple, the System Preferences. You would open, and you would come to Displays, and then to Color. And I can't really do this live right now because we have the projector on as well. But you see this little calibrate. I don't know, maybe it will do it. Let's try. It won't change anything, but I can hit the calibrate button. And if I hit the calibrate button, I'll get this welcome, and I can go through a series of screens where I will adjust what I have power over to try and follow the directions from brightness to different colors. Does it change it at all? Yeah, I see, like you can't see it because these are all being projected, so you're not going to see the changes. If you did it on your laptop, you'd seriously see the changes. And so you walk through this step by step, and you will get your screen closer to a known variable. If your screen is closer, you'll get a better response. Now, one of the challenges we have is that most of the screens nowadays are made for gaming. And what do people want in gaming? Color, graphics, bright, right? Most laptops are probably 50% to 60% too bright compared with what's going to come out when you print. So if you're working on a picture on a screen that's much too bright, when you print it, the picture will be too dark. Has anyone ever seen that result? Okay. It really will make a big difference. When I work on my laptop, I actually turn, I don't know, can we see this? I'll see if we can. So when I'm going to work on a print on my laptop, I usually will hook it up to a calibrated professional screen. But if I had to work in the field, you guys can see that little, I would work with a laptop at that 3 clicks. It will look very, 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 very dim, but that's what I would do for my photographs. And I will get a better response. And then after I do that 3 down, I'll calibrate the monitor. A couple things, you have to leave it on for a half hour before, so it's definitely warm. I also recommend removing colorful background patterns. And I don't know if I can see this. Oops, over there. Sorry, I'm going to the wrong place. So you can see my background is gray. That's what I have my background set for. Because if my background is gray, I'm going to have no distractions that will cause me to shift my colors in my pictures. It's an unknown color. So calibrating is essential. The other thing I may say, as those of you that have laptops, if you move your laptop further forward or further back, particularly some of the older ones, you'll see the pictures change. There's actually little gadgets that will sit in the hinge of as if you had to buy something, sit in the hinge of the laptop to keep it at a steady place so that it makes sure that you're always at the same angle to your laptop. I think you just make a kind of rule for yourself that you're going to be, if you're working on a laptop, you're going to be straight on it, and that you keep it at a certain angle and you pay attention to that. Because if you change the angle dramatically, you will really, really change the look of the picture. Oh, sound is not clear. Oh, no. Okay, I'm trying now. Is that better? Okay. So this is the solutions that I recommend I1 display. It's a tool that will cost you about $250. But if you start to think about, and you may not think about it now, but if you start to think about paper, photo paper can cost $1 per sheet as an inexpensive photo paper. I have photo papers I've used to print on inkjet printers that were $10 a sheet for some very special watercolor papers. Well, all of a sudden, paying money to calibrate the pictures beyond your time is very, very worth it. And not being frustrated is really, really worth it. If you're interested in this information, down here you can see this tool on Amazon. And right now it's on sale for $224. So you can see it on Amazon. And they do probably have more information on those. Let me close this. And also on the X-Rite site. What is unique about this, it's one of the newer ones. They do have a lot of videos on the X-Rite site that you can watch. Is that it doesn't just, it actually will go on the screen and calibrate the screen. It'll be interactive with your screen. It'll throw a number of color patches up. and it will read it, and it will create a profile that will be saved inside your computer for the screen. If you want to use the next step, you actually can have it sitting on your desktop and plugged into your computer, and it will change how bright the screen is based on the room illumination. So if your computer is has a window that changes, and it's going to look different in daytime and nighttime, this will actually sit there, and in this little eye right here, it sees what the room light is and adjusts the camera. Okay, so you have your monitor set. You've fixed your monitor, I hope, and your monitor is the right exposure. I'll give you one more way before I move on to software. If you do the monitor calibration that's built into the computer and you don't have the money right now or the desire right now to buy the real calibrator, the professional calibrator, one thing you can do is kind of back engineer. So what you would do is set it up the best you can with the software you have, print out a print, study the print, then change the screen to look like the print. So if you print out a print and the print is too bright, you can just move the button from the screen. The screen looks more like the print. If the print was too dark, change the button so the screen looks like the print. So you're sort of doing it backwards, but it will get you closer. Now, it's about each place you print. You might need a little different settings. Also, the other thing to consider is that if you don't have the right settings when you output a print for printing, you will get different outputs. So you really have to read the instructions with your printer if you're using an inkjet printer, or to how to prepare it to send it to a service. How many people think they'll be sending their pictures to a service to pay to print them, like Costco or Walmart or Okay, quite a few. How many people think they'll be using their inkjet printer? Okay, just a few. Okay. Inkjet is not necessarily cheaper, I will say that. It can be more convenient because it's right there next to you. But it does have a cost involved in terms of the inks and the papers and everything. So we'll get to both how to do it at home and how to send it out. Okay, so the next thing you have to think about is your application to prepare your picture. Your book has entry-level, semi-professional, and professional. And it is really amazing what you can do in even the most simple programs. This is a screenshot from iPhoto. And how many people are using iPhoto in here? Okay, so quite a few. So iPhoto is based on the Macintosh, although its controls are going to be similar for many different programs. And some of you may have seen this picture in Flickr. This was one I fixed in iPhoto in a couple different ways and posted. I'm going to choose another picture in iPhoto and show you the parts. That will be echoed in the lecture, but I'd rather show you live since I'm here, and if anyone has any questions, you can ask them. So I'm actually going to pick, you can see this is photographing in China in the morning at dawn. And this actually is my infrared camera, the camera that's dedicated to doing infrared. But I'm going to choose this waterfall. And I'm going to choose Edit. So you'll see in iPhoto, you have a relatively simple set, and it looks really dark on the projection, but it's, this is the image I would choose on my screen, which is probably a little bright. This is the quick fixes, so you can see the simple rotate, which will just turn the picture around. It has a simple enhance. Let me go just to the next one. Realizing it looks better on the screen. So in the enhance, we have a fixed red eye. So that red eye, remember, that's what happens with the when you have a flash that isn't. So simple enhance will do some kind of change, and it will decide. And you can see you get the little pizza guy making you wait. You guys can't see that online, but we have a pause here in the processing. Oh dear. Okay, so that's what it did automatically too, and you always have down here, which is really nice, the revert to original. I can straighten this from this and just do it by angle. And I can do some crops from here. And I can do some simple retouching. This is a very, very basic tool. I'm going to revert to the original. In terms of more elaborate, we have adjust. And this starts bringing up the terms that we're going to see in every single program. They may call them a little bit different, but you can see the terms. We can see the histogram. Can you guys see that up here? So this is a histogram. And the histogram tells you where the pixels are. It lets you do some levels where you can actually change the picture by moving these levers. You can change, you're going to see this little square of the picture, but still you'll be able to see the effect. I can make it darker. I can make it lighter. Add contrast would be how black and white it is. Not black and white, so there's a difference between light and dark. And or not soften. Not seeing the effect of the screen a little bit too much.
How would that contrast adding white?
What it more does is if you think of the picture like being a book laying on its spine on a table, if you have less contrast, it will make the pages closer together from black to white. So there's not as black or not as white. And if it's more, it'll be the black and white will be further apart. So it's like or maybe a slinky is even a better analogy. So how close the tones are from beginning to end. So if it's black, less contrast, the tones are all really close together. If it's contrasty, the tones are really, really far apart. And we'll see it better in I think, let's see. That's contrasty. Well, the histogram, you can see the histogram changes as I turn that. That's really flat. Everything seems kind of gray. So we have all these different controls, and they all interact in different ways. Saturation has to do with richness of color, so no color to lots of color, intensity of color. And then they have definition. And if you hover over these things, they actually give you little hints. Clarifies details and improves local contrast. Highlights will take care of darken the highlights. Shadows will lighten the shadows. Sharpness will make it's sharper, seem sharper. It's actually what it's doing is it's taking the contrast between pixels and popping it up to make it look sharper. And denoise is to get out the noise that comes from really high exposures. This is not the best way to get rid of noise. There's whole programs that all they do is get rid of noise, like Noise Ninja is one of them, or a couple other ones. But you buy this program. It's an add-on to your computer, and all it does is if you do a lot of high-speed photography, it gets rid of noise. And we can change the color temperature here. So I'm going to get these all back to 0, and for my screen, select the exposure of this. I definitely want to think about. So I pick up this little digrapher here, and then I click someplace I want neutral gray, and you'll see it just sort of change the colors a little bit. It's pretty subtle. This isn't a bad choice. I'm going to go up in definition a little bit and go down a little bit in exposure. do a little bit of sharpness on it. And I'm going to pull down the highlight to see if I can get a little more tone in the sky. And then I'll be able to share it through, a number of the programs have this ability. In here in iPhoto, I can share it directly to Flickr. So I'll decide I'll go here, and I'll put it in my photo stream. And viewable by anyone, fit 1024 by 1024. That is the size I actually recommend. If you're going smaller than that, your picture's going to look a little funky on Flickr. And then I'm going to publish it when my computer is done thinking. Oh, stop thinking, just do it. Okay, you can do it. This can be a frustration with image processing. I haven't seen it this bad before. Okay, we're going to let it continue to think while I go back to the lecture. And again, this is the gallery, so these are the thumbnails. You can import from a card to iPhoto or from your hard drive. There's the quick fixes again that I mentioned and talked about. This is the image that I worked on before. And here is the adjust mode, a little more elaborate tools that we have. One of the keys that I didn't say is that in iPhoto, like Lightroom, which we're going to discuss in a minute, the changes are non-destructive. They're happening inside the program. They're not happening to the picture. If you were to open a JPEG or any file and you do all kinds of changes to it and you keep on opening and closing it, opening and closing it, you're actually going to do damage to the data and you can lose detail and texture. These programs don't apply the changes until it's time. And so therefore it does it in the least destructive way and for a new output. Okay. And so here you can see the change that I made. That's how I changed this picture. And we can actually see, well, we won't do that. No, we can see it in Flickr. We'll click here to see it in Flickr as the final picture. So by using it in iPhoto, richening the color, darkening it a bit, and changing some things, I was able to get this picture. The other controls you have in iPhoto, and they're pretty, I'll say they're pretty rudimentary, kind of like hammers when I want them to be light paintbrushes, is these effects. The black and white is pretty simple. You just make it black and white. But their sepia is really sepia, and their other ones are, their vignettes, their matting and vignettes right here are not very appealing. I'm going to go back to iPhoto. Did it share it? I hope it shared it. We'll find out when we get back to Flickr. I'm going to go back to Edit. And you can see my changes are there. And then we'll go to Effects. If I go to Effects, you can see if I go to the sepia just how it's like yuck sepia. And all I can do is on or off on sepia. Some of the other, here's antique, which is not as bad, but still not very good. And the matte is just too intense, and all you can do is make it, you can make it more, which I don't know why you would want it. Maybe for a portrait, if you, I can't really imagine why. There's a boost that just kind of boosts the color, and that's not so bad. That's actually pretty effective, and but you can sort of go too far pretty fast. And the other one is a fade, which kind of fades the color. Sort of reduce the color. So these, I don't really recommend these, but they're here so that you know. And I'm going to undo everything I did. And then go back. So iPhoto is an option that comes with many of your computers. It's easy to use. And the other option is Avery, A-V-R-E. I can't even say that right, A-V-R-E. And A-V-R-E is inside of Flickr. It's an editing program that is part of Flickr. Has anyone tried this? Okay, let's go back to Flickr. Go to my photo stream. And we can see that it did work even though it was making me wait. Here's the picture that I just edited. That's been added to my photo stream from iPhoto directly. This is one of my Flickr fixes of Pong's picture, which we'll see later. Let me get to one of my pictures. It'll be quicker if I go like this. There's a lot of your guys' pictures in here. So I'll choose my friends. This is Marcella and Curtis at the Photo Central show. So if I come here, I do have a button called Edit in AVRE. And so it's pretty simple. You can see along the top there's a whole layer of things you can do, some of them better or worse. And luckily these people are my friends because I could do something like that. And yeah, make it a little larger, make it look better on Marcella. Okay, and I really think that he already has glasses, but I think he really should consider a new look. And I can't believe he showed up to the show without a tie. And you can see you have a number of kind of fun, but probably totally, well, I don't know. Sometimes fun's okay. Sometimes it's just okay. We'll just make him king for a day. Okay, and then we apply it, and we have the picture, and we can save it. And we have the option when we save it to either replace the old photo, which we really don't want to do, or save it as a new copy. And so by saving it as a new copy, I can have it in the photo stream, and I can call it Marcella and Curtis all dressed up, adjusted in a, let me spell it right now. In addition to particular more simple, you can do things like very, very simple. Touch it.
So if you do that and see, you cannot, like, if you download it on your computer, it's still going to be like that amount of pixels.
That's true. It isn't a web thing unless you decide, and some people do, like if you pay for Flickr, you have a terrible, you have quite a bit. If you put full-size pictures up on Flickr, Avery will work with your full-size pictures. But the fact is that then you have to have the bandwidth to have the time to load it and to get it down again. And you can download your pictures from Flickr. So, okay, and there we are, better or worse, as it were. We'll take this picture. I'm going to take, how's my time? Okay. Go to, and I'm going to show you quickly some of the other things like I can sharpen it, and I can do a little bit of sharpening. I can go to warmth, and let's just say I really want it to be warmer. And then I have blemishes, white and red eye text, drawing splash, some focus, some resizing, cropping. We'll do a little frame. You can do some, I'll do a fun frame. No, I don't like that frame. I'll do that frame. Apply. I can just enhance it, and it gives me just some simple enhancements. And so then I save it again, and I can save it back as a new copy. So you can see that it's available. It's not even as powerful as iPhoto, but it is right there inside your Flickr, and it's good to know about that. You do want to be careful. Someone said you can use both. The problem with that is that you're doing effects on top of effects on top of effects. You may not know what you did if you want to repeat it, which is a really bad thing. Also, you may cause some unexpected outcomes. I mean, I actually did. This one was, the other one was in iPhoto, and then I did it in Avery. But I would recommend you maybe focus on one tool once you get to that point. So these are examples of things within Avery. This was just a color in a little frame. This was a poor owl that was made to wear glasses. And then, yeah, I look really super there in my rose, which I fixed in Avery. So you can do either serious or not serious effects. Our next thing is Picasa. And Picasa is free. It will work on those of you that have PCs as well as Macintoshes. And let's open Picasa. And this actually goes right to what is kind of interesting in that it does a face recognition. And if you can see right over on the right down here, it's actually scanning pictures looking for faces. And if you spend the time and start identifying people, it will find more people who are there. It can be very good for going through family photos and things like that. I'm sorry. It is also pretty basic. Let me just grab a picture I can work on. It grabs everything. That's what's hard. Let me just. So when I open it, I have this pretty simple menu of things to do. I can crop the picture, and you can see it sort of has some presets, or I can manually do it for a certain size paper. I can make a square CD cover. So I have some set things I can do in terms of cropping. So I'm going to do small print. Come down here, or yeah, I'll just do that and apply. And so it will crop it. Then I have straighten, red eye. I've never had the bravery. Someone can do this. One click for lighting and color. I'm feeling lucky, it's called. I just don't know about clicking I'm not feeling lucky button in the software, but maybe. Auto contrast, auto color, retouching. So auto color will just do what it can. This isn't a very colorful picture, so it's not doing so much. I'm going to undo auto color. But then I can come in and have a little more control. So I could do a little bit of fill light. That opens up the shadows. I could darken the highlights. Can you see the little histogram at the bottom moving? I can change the color temperature because I actually like this picture a lot warmer. Or I have once again, my neutral color picker that I can pick something to make neutral. And then I have some more filter things, which are kind of fun. Here's a sepia. Much better, I think, than the iPhoto sepia, to be honest. I can do film grain to make it kind of texturally. And I'm going to apply that. And then in the next ones, I can do some really unfortunate things. That's not really showing. Yeah, there it is. So you can see this is called loamish Some of you may know lomography. That's the plastic camera fun thing. I'm going to cancel that one. Heat map. You like it? Who's going to vote for this version? Maybe not. I could, you know, the hard part for me is I can always see a purpose. There could be a time when that wouldn't be a horrible idea. Not in my portfolio, though. Not in your portfolio, too neat. But other times it could be. So this one's fun. It's called cross process, which actually has to do with an old-time film thing we used to do. We do on the computer now. And then some more effects that you can do. Vignette color, pencil sketch. And this one has some cool possibilities. I actually kind of like that one, huh? Okay, we're still going to cancel it. So that's sort of the adjustments. You can see they're all pretty basic, but again, it's free. You download it. And what I actually do use Picasso for is face recognition because it's really strong. iPhoto also has a face recognition. I haven't worked with it as much. Lightroom does not have a face recognition. You go through and you identify people, you identify them with keywords. And then down here, you might see I have sharing, email, printing, and exporting. Again, if I share, it will log me onto Google and make me do things. If I email it, I can use my default email. I don't know if this is going to work. Of course, I'm doing this while you're watching, I'm trying it. And it will automatically open my email. You'll see I have way too many emails, and it will put the picture in a window for you. And that's it. Yeah, it's going to come. And then you can send it. I'll send it to myself, as I often do. A picture for me? Oh, thank you. Okay. And then I'll quit my email. Come back here. So Picasso's available, another tool. And there's a link here if you wanted to download the Picasso on this page. This brings us to what is more likely as you move forward that I would encourage you to consider, and that is Photoshop Elements or Photoshop CS, or now CC. CC is Creative Cloud CS. You can still buy Photoshop 6 as a standalone software. As students, you get a discount in the bookstore. It is the last one you'll be able to buy, which you really are leasing on a long-term basis. Now Adobe is doing a subscription for all their software, and so that's the way it's being done. For many people, Elements will be perfectly fine. In Elements, you can do some layers, you can do retouching, you can have it activated with your Lightroom, which is actually my favorite program. Photoshop is a professional program. It's what we teach in our photo series because some of the people in our series will go on to be professionals and they need to know that tool. Although what you learn in Photoshop CC, you can do in Photoshop Elements with some limitations. Elements, so those either, how many people are graphic designers in here? A few, right? Yeah, so Elements won't let you do CMYK. It won't let you do certain profiling that for printing that you can do in CC.
I know some standard photography courses they do not allow where you use full Photoshop Elements.
Yeah, and that would be true of our classes also. Many of the classes, we focus on the Photoshop CC because it is the higher level program. It's the professional program. And if you learn that program and you decide for either cost or convenience to use like the Elements, everything you know from there will apply. So it's better to learn on the more professional tool, even if you decide not to stay there. Although now with the sales that they have on the subscription, I think it's not. I mean, I think you can still get Photoshop and Lightroom for $9.99 a month, and that seems, for me, as someone who always wants to have the latest tool and who uses it on probably a daily basis, it's worth it. But you have to sort of look at your use and what you're going to do with it to decide what you want to do. In the bottom of here, there is a link to the Adobe site, and they have information to sort of walk you through what program you want to use now. And you can see, yes, Photoshop CC and Lightroom for $9.99 per month with the new Lightroom Mobile. I have not had time to play with Lightroom Mobile, but I'm really excited about it. I do have it linked up. So you can come here and look at all of their choices for what you might want to use. They go through CC, Lightroom, Elements, and Elements with Premiere, which is the video software. You have to read through everything. You have to decide how you're going to do it and what's going to work best for you. They do give, and one of the reasons why I do this lecture at this particular moment is that Photoshop will give you and Lightroom a 30-day trial for free. So any of you that want to use one of these tools but not pay for it for your final project could download it and use it to play with in the next month, which is how long till your portfolio is due. I'll also tell you that those of you that live near Foothill and are here on campus, the KCI has an entire Macintosh lab with the latest software that you can use. And then there's the Idea Lab over in 1211 that has all the latest software. If you're going to use the printers, you probably would need to talk to me and get some more help. But certainly in terms of just adapting your pictures to send to a service, there's lots of resources here at the college. Or you can download the free sample here. Okay. So the next question is Lightroom. Lightroom is my favorite program. I recommend it as next step for most of you. I just put in my request for fall, and so I'm probably going to be teaching a Lightroom class in fall for those of you that are interested. I'll find out in a couple days for sure, and I'll let you all know. Lightroom is just amazing. The thing about Lightroom, it is really made to deal with what we're doing as photographers now. We take hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures, and how Photoshop, to some extent, like Picasa, they're dealing with one picture at a time. Lightroom is really good for dealing with lots of pictures at a time, for being able to take a group of pictures and quickly decide which ones are the best ones and which ones you want to work on. And so if I come down here and look at my pictures, which from Hidden Villa. So here was a shot I shot of the little piglets that we saw. They were so cute. And here is my final version. So not a lot of changes that I made, but a cropping, a little bit of richening, some sharpening, just keeping it pretty simple in this case. We have Chris here photographing one of the pigs. And so if I wanted to improve this picture, I'd go to Develop. And I'd probably start out with the eyedropper, which we've seen in many of the programs. This white balance selector is a really key tool that can help you. And the crop is right there, and I can crop it down to get rid of some of the distractions. And then I might decide that this is distracting, so I'm going to use the paintbrush, paint this corner, go darker, and go lose the color, because that's what's really bothering me. And then I'll come down here and make all the corners a bit darker. We really concentrate on these actions. So in a few short clicks, I'm able to really adjust the picture and really change the picture from what it was before. The other power of Lightroom is in choosing. So I've already gone through here, probably not purposely. Well, I have some. So let's go to my attribute. I've given some pictures stars. So I'm going to see which pictures I gave stars. And the stars are the ones that I thought were more interesting. And so I can use 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. I can also use a color system in here, which I really like. And so if we look at my 3-star picture, it's one of the birds that we saw near the end with it, and that I shot with a telephoto lens. If I want to see how I changed this picture, and not a lot of changes. I was pretty subtle on this one. It didn't need a lot of help, but you can see a definite difference between the before and after. Or I can. I hope you can too. Yeah. Well, and that's another great thing. I like Lightroom. Obviously, that's another great thing about Lightroom. If I come over here, I can see exactly what I did to that photo, because every step I did is recorded and it's permanent in the history. The other amazing thing, so I have these other bird photos of the same scene. So I'm going to choose all of them. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger so you can kind of hopefully see them. And so this is the one that I really liked, that I really liked the effect on. So I say, well, I want to do that to all of them so I can synchronize the settings, and so all those pictures will be changed to match the one that I already did. And that can be really good for parties or for events or for lots of different things that you do where the lighting is all the same and you want to change the lighting in all of them at once. So we have the library with that you can study your pictures. You can give it stars and ratings. We have the develop module that I just demonstrated, where you can change the picture and improve the picture. Okay. So, and then I just quickly to finish on Lightroom, we also have, I really like the map because I have a GPS on my camera, and so I actually can see where my pictures were taken. So right here, that's where that picture was taken. I mean, and we're talking pretty deep detail here. And if we go to all my pictures, I don't know what will happen. All my photos, and you can see all the different places that I took photos. Kind of scary for privacy. Luckily, I don't mind. There I am, smiling in friendliness. So the map is very good if you have a GPS. It's very helpful for me as a landscape photographer to know where pictures are. You can make books for pictures. There's a book module, a slideshow module. Slideshow module quickly, and a print module and a web module, all which will allow you to build these items right out of Lightroom. Now, after your tool for there's some basic things you can do to a picture. And so I wanted to break that down, not tied to any particular software that you're using, but just here. So we have exposure, being darker or lighter. We have contrast, being mainly darks or more softer, split between all the tones. We have highlight values. It's also sometimes called recovery, and shadow values are fill light. And so the highlight values will control the brightest areas. The shadow values will control the darkest areas. This is a handout you can download too. Here is saturation. So I'm going to note saturation where it becomes black and white. Saturation where it becomes really overcolored. Temperature, which is whether it's blue or yellow. Tint, which is whether it's green or pink. So those, all the programs are going to have those basic controls. So you just have to work with them as you go. So now you've done the work. You have your print. We have the print that has no adjustments, the print scaled and with corrections. We can really see the difference in how the picture changes. There's a couple things you do have to consider, and this picture is really important, because images that you take are not standard sizes according to the photo paper. Photo papers are 8 by 10. An 8 by 10 was based on glass sizes in the 19th century. Honest to God. That's why we have 8x10s in the United States. In Europe, you don't have 8x10s. There's totally different paper sizes that actually are the shape of the cameras that we use. So you can see here that an 8x10 would crop this much all the way up to that green line out of your picture. A 5x7 will crop a little bit, and a 4x6 or an 8x12 or 12x18 will get all of your picture. And so it's something to consider as you think about making your prints for the class. And what I have under here is the pixel sizes that you need to print properly in each of the different sizes. So you can work with those to know what size you need if you're going to send your pictures out. If you're thinking of using pre-cut mats that have been made like at Michael's, you can buy 8x12s, but you have to special order them or go probably on the web. Usually at Michael's, what they'll have is 8x10 pictures. And you have to think, is my picture going to look good as an 8x10? If it won't, then it won't fit into those mats, and you won't be able to use the preset mat. You can go to Costco, and here I have links to all the different places you might go to print your pictures. Costco, Ritz, Walmart, Flickr. You can go directly from Flickr to Snapfish. Shutterfly, Bay Photo, West Coast Imaging. And this sort of goes from cheapest to not cheap at all. West Coast Imaging is a professional service. You can actually come here and see some of their portfolios are so inspiring. But someplace like West Coast Imaging, Masters of Fine Art Digital Imaging, they're actually going to work with you to print your pictures. And you can see some of the images that they work on. So they won't just print them. They will print one, work with you. They have editors. Each print might be $50 for an 8x10. Could be that high, depending on the services you ask for. Gotcha.
Can you tell the price like Target?
Target does. Target and I just didn't link up to Target. I don't know how good their printing is. I know Walmart only gives 8x10s. So if you don't want to crop your picture, you either have to put it on a canvas in Photoshop or one of the services, one of the softwares, or you have to accept that your picture is going to be cropped. And your picture has to be 8x10 or 8x12 or larger. That's the sizes that we're going for the class. More realistically, those of you that can either are a member of Costco or can get into Costco, what you'll find is that their prices are probably the most that you will find. It's very, very reasonable for their prints. I do work prints on them. Okay. Let me just get prices, prints. So for yeah, it's really, really reasonable. 50-50 chance that my password will work. Okay. I have a few albums. I'll just go to this one. This one. So you can see that you can make different albums, different effects. My edges are put on in Photoshop or Lightroom, so that's I'm going to find one that doesn't have edges. This one won't have edges. This is pictures my dad took at an event, so I'm going to order the entire house so you can see what happens. So, okay. When you come here, you have a choice of, and this is going to be true of any of them. I just have to choose some because we only have a few more minutes. Go up your luster and all your sizes. And what you'll see, I'm going to do one of each of these and fine. When I come down here, you see that little cross mark there? After you do this, let me find one that's kind of close. Okay. us. I'm going to do the 10 slides. Taking a little while to load, sorry. And so at 8 by 10, oh, I actually have white edges on this one, so that's why it's not. I did actually put the edges in before I said, because I like control. If I did 8 by 10, oh, okay, there it is. There you can see. Can you guys see it? You have, and luckily this picture's a little wide, but you sort of have to choose which part of the picture you get, and you can't get the whole picture because the 8 by 10 is the wrong shape. Apply crop, and so then in some pictures it's going to make a big difference in what happens for how it comes out. So any place there's a little crop warning, you know that you have that problem. There's one other warning right here, and that little exclamation point tells you help. Oh, I didn't want to go to help. I didn't want to go to help, sorry. It's actually that it's not big enough. The image that I uploaded on a small size. And so the warning tells you that cropping this small will result in a low quality print. So I didn't upload a big enough picture for an 12 by 18. I uploaded one that was made to be 8 by 10, 8 by 12. And so if I ask them to make that bigger picture, the quality will be low. That's just a good thing to know. Okay. Couple more things, and then we'll take a quick break here. So you go to the wizard, you upload it, you order it. You're going to have to shop around for prices. I'll also mention inkjet printers. Here's an inkjet printer sample. They range from probably $200 up to, we have one at Photo Central that is 44 inches wide, 44 inches wide. It was thousands of dollars. We got a grant to get it. So I mean, inkjet printers range in price. The material you put in the inkjet printer ranges. And so here's all the different prints that I made out of this picture from iPhoto, Photoshop, printing it all different times and trying different costs and how it would. So I really recommend that when you're trying to finish a project, you might take the same photo to different places and see which one works best for you, and also compare and then plan. Gotcha.
Is the methodology you're expecting to do like highest quality?
Absolutely. Highest one is real photo paper and highest quality. It's really essential. Glossy or matte is a good question. I prefer both, depending on the situation. So like on an inkjet printer, I tend to like a satin or kind of glossy paper. The inkjets tend to be better. Something like Costco, their glossy paper is really too glossy and really fragile, and if you touch it and you get fingerprints on it. So with Costco, I tend to use the matte surface. So you really have to take different papers depending on what you're going to make and think about it that way. Thank you. Let's take 7. Come right back. Okay.